Hi, I'm Macy.
And I'm Missy.
We're best friends
and business partners. And each week, we're going to bring you a quote that inspires us, and we're going to talk about it.
Join us as we break down our favorite impactful messages for leadership and share how you can apply them to lead with confidence and purpose.
Get ready for a fun and authentic journey into leadership, life, and everything in between. Well, hey, bestie.
Hey, bestie.
How are you?
I am excited. We survived our first episode, and now we're going to share one of our favorite quotes around one of our favorite topics of leadership, and that's connection.
Yes, I am so excited about this one because, I'm a people person. I consider myself a natural connector, so I'm excited.
And I will say I'm not a natural connector, or maybe I should say I wasn't, right? But I've spent a lot of time working on this skill because I really do understand the importance of connection. And now I think it comes second nature.
I agree. You have mastered it. And Macy, do you know why else I'm excited today?
No, tell me.
Well, I am excited because today we have a guest with us. We love and adore him. He's truly one of the best connectors we know. We've known him for years, and I'm just thrilled, and I feel really blessed that we have him here today.
I know. He is going to be so great. I'm excited about that too. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on. I've been excited about this since y'all invited me, and I've been really, really, really looking forward to talking to you about this because it's near and dear to my heart too.
Well, yes, we want to say thank you for saying yes. You really are, Josh. I know you've heard us say it over and over again, but you're one of the best connectors we know, right?
For sure.
And we know that you're a very busy guy. And so it means so much that you would step away from your day to spend some time to pour into our listeners.
Yes. And Josh, I want to share a little bit about you so that our listeners get to know who you are. Josh is married for 25 years. I mean, he looks like he's 25 years old.
I know.
So I don't know how he's married for 25 years to his wife, America. And now, if you're the praying kind, you need to pray for Josh because he has 4 girls.
Plus
a wife, right? So
yes.
That's a lot. Sarah, who's 23, Rebecca, who's 21, Samantha, 16, and Abigail, who is 14. Josh, I will continually pray for you because I know those teenage years can be a little bit rough, right?
So the teenage years, what about the wedding years? The weddings that are going to come up.
Those are coming, yeah. Josh has been a plant manager for almost 18 years. He spent 3 years in Baton Rouge and almost 15 years in Columbia, Mississippi. And the facility that Josh runs now, it's the biggest facility by volume in producing the product that is absolutely unheard of. So kudos to you, Josh, for raising a family. You're a hardworking man. We know that. And we're excited just to talk to you and share today.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be on here, and I'm excited. Thank you.
Good. Well, all right, guys, buckle up because Josh is just going to drop some gold on you. We just know it.
Okay. So as we're speaking about leadership, I want you to think of leadership as a wheel or a tire, right? So there's the center. I don't know. What is that called?
I think it's called a hub. Is that right?
Is it called a hub? Okay. So the center of the wheel or tire is a hub. And then it has all these spokes that are coming out
that's a perfect visual for us today, especially considering our guest.
And each spoke that comes from the hub, each spoke is a leadership characteristic or trait.
Right. And so you have leadership traits as the spokes of that hub, right? They encompass things that a great leader has, like trust, respect, empowerment, authenticity, character, commitment, consistency. I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah, on and on. And right in the center of that hub, you have connection.
So today's quote is one that Macy and I actually came up with ourselves. Macy, we would say this is a tweetable if it was still Twitter, and we don't tweet.
I mean, I don't know. What do you say? It's an Xable?
I don't know. Do you know what they say now, Josh?
No clue.
No clue. Me either. Here's our quote for today. Connection is the core of leadership.
Love it so much. And there is a whole backstory on how we came up with this quote, but that's a story we'll share on another
Yes,
day.
another day for sure.
And this quote is so deeply ingrained into who we are, who Missy and I are as people. It's simple, but my goodness, does it carry so much weight? Because really, without connection, leadership just feels empty.
I totally agree. I mean, when I think about this quote, I can't help but think, like, how can you lead without knowing your people?
Oh, I don't think it's possible. Like, I don't think you can.
I don't either. Like, you can have all the strategies and processes in the world, but if there's no connection, it's just mechanical, right? You lose the heart of it.
Yeah. And I think that's really the big thing about this quote is that it does remind us that leadership isn't just about results or tasks or processes. It truly is about people.
Yes. Yes.
It's about people and understanding like what makes them tick.
Or maybe even what ticks them off.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's about understanding what they're passionate about, how you can help them grow. And really, that can mean different things to different people depending on the type of leader that you are. Don't you guys think?
I definitely do. What do you think, Josh?
I believe that's core to what we try to do every day, right? So I think a lot of managers focus on the monetary motivation for our employees and for the people that we manage and we lead. And so when you're trying to lead people just based on that, then it's very simple for them to say, well, this is offering me more monetary value, or it's offering me better hours, or it's offering, and there's really nothing holding them to you, to your company, to your organization, to your vision, right? So one of the things we're always trying to attain is buy-in into what we want to achieve, whether it's a social organization, a church, family. And if people don't buy into who you are and don't believe that you care about them, then it's just lip service. It's ineffective, and you will spin your wheels trying to get people to do what you're asking them to do. So
sure.
but that connection is huge to what we're trying to accomplish.
Yes.
It's interesting because Missy, we were just teaching buy-in today to a group that we were training, and someone said exactly that. I can't get my people to buy into me if I'm not connected to them. And if I want to improve my buy-in, even with newer people that I lead, I've got to connect with them. So it's just another, tip that connection really is the core.
It is. And here's the thing, leaders come in all shapes and sizes, right? Like there's no one size fits all, even when it comes to connection, right? Some leaders are all about creating like a personal bond with their people, right? You know, the ones they're like really invested in what's going on in their employee's life.
Yeah. And then there's other leaders who focus more on connecting through like the vision, making sure that everyone understands the goal, everyone's on the same page, that they're all kind of moving forward to the goal. And the goal is what connects them.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we have some leaders who put up so many walls that they avoid connecting at all.
Yeah. And I think that's what I was saying earlier. Like I used to be a leader that wasn't very connected to people, but the good news is that can change over time, right? Once you really understand the value of connecting, I think that helps you change that perspective.
I agree. And it's interesting because there are different ways to interpret connection, right? You've got the emotional side, which is all about really building relationships. And then there's the practical side, which I think is what you were talking about, Macy, which is keeping everyone aligned. And I think some of the best leaders actually manage to do both.
Yeah. And I think over time, as our listeners get to know us, I think they're going to come to realize that you, my friend, are the more emotional one, and I am more of the practical one.
For sure. And here's the thing. You can't lead from a distance, though, no matter what, right?
Yeah,
people need to feel you're right there with them, that you're in it with them. And that's one reason why we really believe that connection is the core of leadership.
Yeah, because if people don't feel connected to their leader, they're not going to follow you with their whole heart. And that's really ultimately that's what a leader wants. They want people to follow them with their whole heart. So, Josh, I'm curious how you see this playing out in your role. I mean, you've got a pretty big team, right? You lead around 170 people with 7 direct reports. So, how have you been successful at building connections with so many people?
I think there's a lot that goes into it. And I like that discussion about both the goal-centered connection and the personal connection.
Which one
And
are you, Josh?
I'm very personal. Now,
Yeah, I thought so.
I'm very goal-centered, and I do want to tie that in anytime I connect with my workforce. But I do want to talk to them about their personal dreams, their
Yes.
family life, their children. And in order to do that effectively, you've got to allocate time. And I know as leaders and managers and employers, time is very precious. And sometimes we say, well, I can't waste quote unquote time doing this because it's not going to give me any value to what I'm trying to accomplish. But it really is an investment in what you're trying to accomplish. And it's an investment in your people and in the vision that you're trying to drive and your goals that you're trying to improve on. So you have to allocate. In my uh, field of work, I try to set apart time every day to walk the floor and not just look at production and not just look at the process and what we're doing, but look at individuals and know them by name and talk to them and know about their personal life. And I'm not trying to pry. I'm not trying to
Sure.
to get involved in something that I don't need to, but really know what drives them. Right? Obviously, they're coming to work to make money, but the money is a means to an end.
Right.
What are they using that for? What is their goal? Do they want to send their kids to college? Are they planning for retirement? Do they want to go on vacation? Do they want to buy a car? Whatever it is, if I can tap into that emotional part of their lives,
Yes.
then I can help them. And that's the idea, right? Whether you're a religious person, God-fearing person, we all should be caring about our fellow man and we should be trying to help them. And so if you can tie that in into your daily work life, people feel that if it's genuine and it's authentic and you spend time talking to them, it goes it goes a long way in helping them feel that we're in this together. It's not just his responsibility is to manage what I do or lead us. He's really caring about what's going on in my life. And if he asks me to do something that may be difficult or maybe outside of my wheelhouse or may cause me to grow, be uncomfortable, I'm willing to do that because he really does care about me and my goals. So,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
so much
so good. Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
I loved the point.
No, don't apologize. I mean, you're
it's-
saying such amazing
It's
things.
like gold. We told you Josh was going to be dropping gold. That Josh, one of the things I heard that I love so much is you talked about allocating time, which means
Yes.
you have to carve it out intentionally. And you talked about the investment of doing this. And why do we invest in things? To get an ROI. And so when you shared that, I thought, yeah, you intentionally do it. And then Josh, what is that ROI? Like when you're doing that and you're allocating the time for that, I'm guessing you've seen the ROI time and time and time again.
There's huge ROI. I mean, there's so many stories and experience that I've been through. So I may have a special project that will require to work overtime and extra hours or require someone to do something different with a new piece of machinery or learn or grow. And when they have that connection, it's not something that they feel that's cumbersome or you're being, you know, you're expecting something out of the ordinary. They're like, hey, no problem. We'll do whatever we need to do because we're in it together. We're part of a team. It also helps me a lot as a leader because I'm always trying to grow my people. I'm always trying to help them not only attain their personal goals, but if they're willing to learn and grow, they're going to be an asset to me and be more valuable to me as an employee, as an associate. So if I have someone that I never talked to that has a talent, that has leadership skills, and I'm not able to identify that because I don't connect, I'm never going to help them grow. But if I do connect, I can take that person and say, look, if you're willing to grow, I'm going to help you and train you and expose you to different experiences that before you know it, next thing you know, you have a valuable asset that could be a member of management, that could take on a training role, that could grow into something totally different than you had in mind until you connected them and got to know them better. So there's so many experiences. Yeah, I think about, there was a period of time where we had to work 7-day weeks, and we have multiple facilities within our organization, and they couldn't get their guys to work 6-day weeks. And they would always ask, Josh, how is it that you're able to get your guys to come in and sacrifice their personal time and work and put out? And it's because we have that culture. We're all in this together. And it's not to say that these guys didn't have personal lives, and these employees that were looking, if they needed something, they needed time off, we'd work around it. But majority of them were willing to put in the time and the effort to help do this, because they knew we were there. If they ever needed anything, if they needed any help, if they had personal issues, they had problems at home, whatever it is, we'd come together and help in any way we can. And so when we asked them to go that extra mile, it wasn't difficult for them to say yes.
Josh, let me ask you this, because oftentimes people think of leadership and connection. The ROI is not something that you can see at the bottom line. But as a leader, how would you say connecting with your team has affected the bottom line?
Oh, efficiencies, again. For example, if we look at an area that we're looking in our production, and we have a bottleneck, or we have an issue where we're not attaining our goals, if you don't have that connection, we reach out on a personal level to these associates, and we say, hey, this is our goal. This is what we're trying to achieve. What do you think we can do different? Whether it's the line setup, machinery, personnel. And if you don't have that connection, they're going to tell you, I don't know, whatever. I'm just here for a paycheck kind of mentality. But if they have that connection, I've had it multiple times. Well, if you do this, I think this will work. Or how about this idea? Well, I think, I've been looking at this and I've been thinking about it, because they've already bought into what you're trying to achieve. And I don't work the line every day. My management team doesn't work the line. These associates do. And so they see day in and day out what they're trying to accomplish and what's inhibiting them. And if you don't have that connection, they're not going to trust you. They're not going to believe that you genuinely care for them. So they're not going to really regurgitate. They're going to give you back exactly what you give them. And so they'll give you tons of ideas, tons of ways to look at it in a different point of view, so that you can attack the problem more efficiently. That's a huge win. I mean, you're people pay consultants tons of money to look at different things like that.
And here we're giving this information for free. Just connect with your people. Just connect with your people.
In my case, I have 170 consultants. If I listen to them, and I'm able to connect with them. So
Josh, you mentioned something like another key word to leadership is trust, right? And we know that connection is all about being real with people, letting them see that you're not perfect, that you're human. And that is one way to build trust with your team.
Yeah, I think being humble enough to saying, hey, I don't have all the answers. You guys and gals do this every day. Help me figure it out. Help me understand what obstacles are in your way, and I'll do everything within my power, if it makes sense financially, safety wise, to do it. And then if you do something that doesn't work, admit, hey, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, and be vulnerable. You can still be that disciplinarian if you have to. You can still be that leader and show the way while being humble and being genuine and being vulnerable. You don't have to be this stoic that never has a fault. Yeah, that's perfect.
Nobody wants that anyway.
No,
right? No. Nobody wants someone who's, first of all, the stoic. Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
But nobody wants someone who's going to come in and be something that they're not, and come in all egotistical.
I mean, another part to that is when you do get ideas from people, or you do have some value added input from someone, give them the credit publicly. We talk about that all the time, praising people publicly. And when we have our meetings, we'll say, hey, we came up with this new idea, and it's because so-and-so on the line came up with this idea, and we're going to apply it, and it's going to help us achieve these goals. That person now feels completely invested, because, wow, I contributed to this as a whole. I'm part of this team. I'm going to, they're taking my ideas. They value them. Again, it's that whole That's
So
the
I have
ROI.
to ask Josh, I'm putting you on the spot here. Do you remember from our training what we call that kind of praise when you say it in front of other people?
Oh God, goodness. Is it
It's a,
power
it's,
praise? What is it?
you're close. Yes. Super praise.
Super praise. That's what it was. Super praise.
Whenever
But yes,
and it works, doesn't it?
it works. Yes, it does. We try to do it consistently and constantly so that people feel valued added to our operation.
I think at the end of the day, people connect with people, right? They're not connecting with a position or a title. So when you show them that you're human, that you're really giving them the permission to do the same thing. Like you mentioned humility and being humble so much of what you just shared. That really does allow your people to do the same thing. You're giving them like that permission slip. It's okay to be humble, right? Because that's really where the magic happens in leadership, because you're not just leading a team, and especially in your line of work, you're really building a community and a family.
Yes, yes. And that's what I think we need to talk more about, right? Like how connection isn't just nice to have. In leadership, it's an absolute must.
Yeah, I think if we go back to what I was saying at the beginning with that wheel and the spokes and the hub,
Yeah.
if you don't have connection, like if you don't have that hub, you don't have trust. You don't have buy-in. You're not able to empower because you don't know who you could give a project to because you haven't connected. There's no consistency. I mean, we could go on and on about how connection really is that core that holds it all together.
Yeah, that's why we wrote the quote, isn't it, Bessie?
I know.
All right, so let's talk about how leaders can actually apply this quote, right? Connection is the core of leadership. How can they apply that in their organization, with their team?
And I would even say, even with their family, right? In
Yes,
their
for sure.
community. Like you lead a family. So I think one of the easiest, like real world examples of ways that you could connect with people is by asking questions.
Absolutely.
Because when your team, I mean, Josh, you explained it earlier, when your team feels connected to you at your core, in your heart, they are going to go the extra mile. They are going to do things. They trust that you have their back. So that trust keeps them motivated. Obviously, you're super busy. Life gets hectic at your plant with what you do. You've talked about how connecting with your team in those kind of busy times. Can you give like a very specific example of when you were in a high pressure situation that you feel like, okay, the reason this worked out was because I did that kind of homework of connecting them and how it paid off specifically in a high pressure situation?
Well, I mentioned this prior with regards to our company had bought another set of companies, and due to that, our product volume increased dramatically, and so we were required to work in excess overtime, and so we had a big meeting and talked to everybody. And I remember reaching out to specific individuals who I knew had prior responsibilities, and I said, "Look." Talking to Chris Abram, I know you have to pick up your daughter at school and you got things over the weekends and you have church and you have this. I'm willing to work with you. Don't feel like you're not going to be able. And he worked probably more hours than anyone else. And I don't think he would have done that if I wouldn't have known his particular situation and then shown that I cared about it and I was worried about him and I didn't want him to feel that he was going to be punished or some extent, and it repeats itself multiple times throughout our situations. We were having an issue with a machine that applies part of the product onto it, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. And I went to the operator, one of our best operators named Rafael, and I said, "What's going on here? What are we doing wrong? And he goes, you know what? This dumb plug-in is right here, and it bumps me in the back every time I go to do the next step in the procedure." And I said, "Really?" He says, "Yeah, if you'd move that, it would fix the whole problem."
Oh my gosh.
And it was this very simple.
Simple.
Looking at the operation, you wouldn't have known it, but he does it every day. And he knew that I was going to follow through with whatever he gave me as a solution if it made sense.
Right.
And so we had an electrician come in, move the plug, and it solved it. And he was happy, and we hit our numbers. And there's numerous situations like that where,
Sure.
because I connect, or I'm able to know our operators well enough that they trust me and they're willing to come to me, or my management team. You talked about asking questions. I have 7 direct reports, and some of them are really good at connecting, and others are not. And so I will, like, I allocate time to connect on my own, but I need them to do that as well.
Of course, it has to
Because
be that ripple effect.
so I'll make sure that I say, hey, what's that operator's name? What's the operator that runs that machine's name? He goes, so by the end of the day, I need you to know his name. Tell me a little bit about his
Love
family,
it.
where he's from, and then come back and report. And so it forces them to do something that maybe I'll be comfortable with, but it
Love that.
forces them to connect.
Absolutely.
And so it's funny when you do that. Uh, then they'll come back and say, "Hey, you know that guy or that operator that I found out about this. Did you know that his daughter's going to college and she's studying this?" And I'm going like, "No, I didn't know that. Thanks for letting me know. I'm going to ask them next time I go by there and just talk to them about it." And so it's a really cool chain effect, that to see that culture and that behavioral standard among our operator and our management team, because it just ties us all together.
Yeah.
That is such a great example. And I love the way you asked him that question. Just a side note, like, you didn't say, what's going on here, right? Number one, you kind of took ownership. Like, what are we doing wrong? And so it really allowed him, like, you knew something wasn't right.
Right.
So by saying, what are we doing wrong? You kind of opened the door for him to complain, right? Without complaining.
Yeah.
So
And
I love
without judging them or being angry because he's
Right.
complaining. We're too defensive sometimes. As well, you're complaining, it's my fault. Well, in a sense, it is. It's okay. We're all at fault of something, but like you said,
Sure.
without judgment, you can complain. Tell me everything you can, and we'll figure out something to help you resolve it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's easy to stay connected when things are going well, right? But it is those tough times when connection really shows its power, right? When you all of a sudden had these bigger goals. And, we've worked with some leaders who I think sometimes misunderstand what we mean by connecting, right? Like,
Yeah.
they think that personal life and business should be in 2 separate boxes and never interconnect.
And I think that it's okay to have boundaries, right? Like, you don't
Yes.
need to know everything about your people, like, keep the drama for the mama, right? We don't need to know all of the things. But with that said, you have to get to know them. I mean, the example that you just used when you said, well, I knew he had a daughter and I gave him permission to leave early. The fact that you knew that, he was like, no, I'm not going to leave early, because you were connected to him.
Yeah.
and I think, again, it's not so much getting into the weeds with them, right? But what motivates them to wake up? We have 2 12-hour shifts. Wake up at 3 o'clock in the
Right.
morning, be at work at 4. What is their driving factor? What is it in their lives? And it's always something, it's usually family. And so
Sure.
Mhm.
it's great to see that these people are waking up and working hard for you and for your organization to accomplish those goals, and know what's driving them. And so when you can tap into that driving emotion, which is usually love, and you can help tap into that and be a part of whatever they're trying to accomplish, it ties you forever.
That's so good. Macy, I think it's like we said earlier. If you struggle a little bit with connecting, you may be more one of those practical connectors instead of an emotional one, but that's
Right.
okay, right? Connection is connection, but make no mistake about it. Either way, connection has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen this with so many of the leaders that we train, right? The moment, it's almost like this instantaneous, as soon as they start to connect with their people at some level, if they've never done it before, it's like everything falls
Yes.
into place, right? Like, when you take time to build relationships, without fail, people are going to feel valued. And when they feel valued, they're more engaged, they're more productive, they're more loyal.
Yes. And so I imagine, Josh, that it is challenging, especially with the number of employees that you lead, to make everyone feel seen and known, right? So, how do you keep that personal connection going with such a large team?
So I mentioned that assigning that my direct reports to connect and report back. And it's really neat when I find out something that I may not have known personally because that person did not connect in that manner. But I can come back and say, hey, how's that Mustang that you're rebuilding? I heard you're rebuilding a Mustang. Oh man, it's this. And then all of a sudden they brighten up and they'll tell you
Right.
all about it. And this is what I'm doing. And it's got this and it's got that. And what's the next step? Okay. So when are you doing that? Oh, in a couple of weeks. And I try to remember. In a couple of weeks, go ask them, did he do this? Did he do that? So if you're not able to connect directly because you're spread so far across a number of personnel, teaching and training your direct reports to do the same, and then come back so that if they do have that connection, you can connect through them and eventually tap into those people. And so it's really neat. It's really
And
neat.
I would say a leadership tip, just make notes in your phone, right? Like
Yes.
I don't know about Android, so I apologize to our Android users, but if you have an iPhone, there's a notes section and you can just say, I just learned that so-and-so's daughter is graduating. And then you can say, hey, SIRI, right? So she doesn't answer while we're doing this, but hey, set a reminder for next week to check in on so-and-so. I mean, use the tools that you have available. And what I love what you said, Josh, is that it really highlights that this connection doesn't need to be huge or overwhelming, right? It really is about being consistent. It's about being these little small moments that are going to build that trust. It's a quick check-in, or it's remembering something personal that they are like, oh my God, he knows about building a Mustang, right? It really does make all of the difference.
It does. And that's the thing. Leaders don't have to connect with everyone all the time,
Right.
but they have to be intentional. And Josh, you said consistent about it. So that's for sure.
And I think that leads us perfectly into our key takeaway from today's episode. So if you only take one thing away from this conversation, this should be it. Make connection a priority in your leadership. Whether you're leading a team of 5 or 500, taking the time to connect with your people will make you a more effective leader.
For sure. Okay, so Josh, before we wrap up, what's one piece of advice that you would give to leaders who want to deepen their connection with their team, but they really don't know where to start?
So I think many leaders have metrics that they measure. Make it a metric. I'm going to spend an hour today, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever period of time that you can allocate. And I'm going to go and not listen to all the other issues that may be coming up, but I'm going to connect with so-and-so or a group of people or 5 or 6 and make it a item that then becomes a habit and then it becomes part of who you are. And I think
that's so good.
Yeah, you have been, Josh, like such an amazing guest for our listeners. And listeners, we want to encourage you this week to get connecting with your team.
And it can start with some simple questions. Heck, if you have a whiteboard, you can make it fun and put it up in the break room to get everyone involved, right? Like ask a connection question. And when people see the questions in a shared space, it invites participation and it gets conversation going that may not have happened with the team otherwise.
Yeah. And if you do that, don't get discouraged if it takes a little while for people to catch on, right? I mean, it's something new. So if you ask a question in a break room and only 1 or 2 people respond at first, that's okay. Just keep going because we know that building connection is a process. And Josh has shared the more consistent you are, the more your team will engage with you.
That's so true. And we had a leader we worked with who had started doing a question of the week. And at first it was slow. But as he kept going, the team really began to connect. And even people from other departments wanted to join in on the question of the week. And so that's a great example of how small actions, a small question a week can lead to big shifts in team dynamics.
Yes. I mean, we have said time and time again on this episode that connection is the core of leadership, but it really is also the core of the team. And these questions aren't just about you connecting with individuals on the team, but it's more of even creating opportunities for them to connect with each other, because the more that they interact and share with each other, the stronger those bonds are, and then the stronger the connection of the entire team.
Exactly. So, what might be a few questions a leader can ask their team to get things started? What about something like, what's one personal goal you're excited about this year? Or
that's a good one.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, that's
Simple,
good.
really, right? It's simple, but it's effective in sparking conversation.
Well, Miss, those are great examples. And if you're listening today, we've got a special gift for you.
We do.
We've created a tool that we call 4 Weeks, 4 Questions, Endless Connections. It's going to help you start using connection questions right away with your team.
And we're confident that if you use this within 4 weeks, you'll see a change in your team dynamics.
Oh, without question. So check out the show notes to grab your free gift, and we're going to send it right over to you.
Perfect. Great, Macy. So remember, these questions are about building connection, and not just between you and your team, but within the team itself. Josh, I bet your team is definitely connected together. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say yes. We work hard at it.
Yeah, of course. And over time, what happens, and you talked about this, Josh, it creates that connection will create a culture of trust, right? It's communication and collaboration. And that's what helps you as a leader transform a group of individuals who work together into a cohesive and productive team.
All right, Josh, as we wrap up today's episode, what is one of your favorite leadership quotes?
I'm so excited to hear.
Well, this one is related to connection. And I think it's attributed to Teddy Roosevelt, who said, they will not care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes.
That's a good one. We love that.
Good. We love that one.
So, yeah, I think if the more they understand that you care for them, the more they're willing to listen and buy into your goals, to what you're trying to accomplish as a team, as a group in their area, and it'll go a long way.
Yes, I love that. Well, we'd love to hear from you, our listeners. Let us know what question you asked of your team this week to connect better. Share it with us on social or write it in the comments. We'd love to cheer you on.
And do you have a favorite leadership quote? Let us know, and we may spotlight it on a future episode.
That would be fun. Josh, thank you. You were awesome. We knew that you would just bring gold to the listeners in this episode. And just thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a privilege. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We will be back next week with another quote and more leadership insights.
Bye, Josh. Bye, Bestie.
Bye.
Bye, Bestie. Bye, Josh.
Bye.
We want to thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, please show us some love by clicking the 3 dots to download the podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating on your podcast app and talk about it with other leaders to help them find the show from any of the major podcast apps. We'd love for you to follow us on social media too. Mpactful with an M _ messages on Instagram and Mpactful Messages on LinkedIn.